Hello and welcome to the latest of my deep dive videos. Today I'm going to explore the journey of the fleet-footed Mercury, the winged messenger, through the tender and compassionate energies of the sign of Pisces, where it's technically detrimented. This event begins on the 2nd of March at 10:52 p.m. Universal Central Time and concludes on the 19th. What can we expect? What is the energy of Mercury in Pisces like in a natal chart as much as through this transiting period? What are the influences that Mercury will forge with other planets? One is a standout, the Cazimi, the exact conjunction with the Sun on the 15th, but also it goes alongside Neptune, one of the two rulers of Pisces. So that's all really exciting to share with you. I'm then going to share the solar chart wheel so we can all relate to this event. Saturn's still going to be very close to Mercury, but then I'm going to be sharing the event chart based on Placidus, and we can see what house the combination of Saturn and Mercury are in, and it is a tender one. And finally, I'm going to give you your zodiac sign forecast from Aries through to Pisces, from the perspective of your sun or ascendant. If you are a returning visitor to my channel, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. This is very much a community, so please feel that you can interact, share comments and observations. I will respond to each one. Please also like the video and subscribe. Now, if you would like to deepen your astrological knowledge, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will help you to get a much more intimate understanding of the patterns that have been occurring in your life so far, even the challenging ones. Once we know more about these, it's much easier to work with them. In my special package, you can also get your 12-month forecast. These are totally unique to the person they are produced for and will give you searing insights. If you don't know your time of birth, I am now producing a new report, a solar report, and please see the link beneath this video for more information on that. So Mercury moves on the 2nd of March. Let's just explore those essential dignities with Mercury. Governs the sign of Gemini and also Virgo. It's exalted in Aquarius, in its full in Leo, but detrimented in Sagittarius and crucially in Pisces. And the reason being is that the energy of Pisces is watery, emotional, and that can erode the logic, detachment and precision that Mercury enjoys through its 2 rulerships. So let's just think about the energy in Pisces of Mercury in a natal horoscope. So if someone has this natally, they're likely to have a jolly good imagination and can have a real appreciation of the arts, any visual arts particularly, but also this can give people enormous intuition, and some people can even be telepathic if they have Mercury in Pisces. But it's an energy that can see people learning by soaking things up, quite understandably, so by osmosis, and can be very emotional and supportive in the way it would communicate energy towards others. And that sympathetic vibe can often see people with Mercury in the sign of Pisces working in big institutions such as hospitals and perhaps even prisons, where working behind the scenes to support other people, perhaps in jobs that don't necessarily have a high profile. It's also a very adaptable position for Mercury to be, but that could be one of its downsides, because maybe the mutability, I appreciate that both Gemini and Virgo are mutable signs too, but in the watery mutability of Pisces, that could mean that someone has a kind of a flexing approach to reality, if you like. Possibly, if it was afflicted, could lead to some fickleness or some inability to grapple with logic, because there could be a subjective way of receiving information. Very often people who have Mercury in Pisces could be daydreamers. But what about the transiting energy? What can we all expect over these next few weeks? Well, I think we could find ourselves feeling quite nostalgic and reflecting on situations or people from our past, so memories could come very much into the open. We may find it a little bit harder to concentrate, particularly when Mercury goes into its conjunction with Neptune. And for some people, there could be a need to withdraw over the next few weeks, to have more time to peruse things at a deeper level. But if we're interested in things like retreats, well, we could be travelling. Mercury represents especially short-term travel, going off to somewhere which could be very peaceful and meditative for us. If you have thought about having some psychotherapy or counselling, this would be a great time to start it. Also, if you need to have some confidential discussions with someone, perhaps about a job, perhaps about your future, perhaps even about past issues that need to be processed, this would be a fine time to go for it. Now, Mercury forges some really important aspects through its journey in the sign of Pisces. And the one that came up for me first of all is Mercury angling to Uranus, which is exact on the 11th, but in play from the 9th to the 13th. This is going to create an electric vibe. Our thoughts could be quite flexible during that time, but very imaginative. Now, Mercury goes into that exact conjunction with the Sun, which is known in ancient astrology as a cazimi. That's going to happen on the 17th of March, but they're very close to one another from the 14th to the 17th. And I feel that this will be an opportunity to discuss some very delicate issues and really understand things and achieve a simpatico with anyone that we're in conversation with. Neptune's influence on Mercury, however, can be much more challenging, and this occurs from the 15th to the 18th and exactly on the 16th. This can be distortion central if we think that Mercury really likes the details and likes things dry and logical. The waxing, ephemeral energies of Neptune, that gassy, flexing, rather potentially elusive vibe, would be brilliant if you wanted to practice your magic tricks, but not so good if we want to have a hard and fast conversation. Now, Mercury is going to be in a difficult right angle with Mars, which is going to occur and be exact on the 17th. But that's because Mars itself is in a right angle with Neptune for 2 weeks, in weeks 2 and 3 of March, which in itself is a very challenging influence. So we need to be sure that if we're buying or selling anything, or we're describing anything, or we're trying to be factual in our approach, that we don't kid ourselves by expressing something that actually is quite a lot off the mark. So concentrating and really having the detail to hand is going to be important. But there is a really transformational angle between Mercury and Pluto, which is exact on the 19th. This is where our ability to analyse situations in a very profound and deep way is definitely increased. Pluto in Capricorn is a very powerful influence, as you know, and of course it's coming to the end of its own journey in the sign of Aquarius at this point in the month, before returning back to Aquarius on the 11th of June. But I would just say that this just gives us an opportunity to sort out the muddle that could ensue from Mercury's conjunction with Neptune and square with Mars, which could make us all a bit impulsive, impatient, and for sure I think some issues or some information that a lot of people, perhaps people in the public eye, would rather keep confidential, could get out into the open because of the 3rd, 12th energy that's represented here, very much to do with gossip. Now, in the solar chart, obviously, Mercury is in house 12, so it combines with the Sun and also with Neptune in house 12. But as this event begins, and therefore the backdrop energy for the next few weeks, it is in a conjunction with Saturn late in Aquarius, preparing to go into Pisces on the 7th of March. So I think that there is going to be a need to be very considered around how we express ourselves, particularly around more emotional strands or anything to do with our deeper feelings. The natal ingress chart does see an ascendant in the deep Scorpio at 7 degrees and 31 minutes. This is based on Universal Central Time and Greenwich, but it also puts Mercury and Saturn in the 4th house of feeling. But they are supported by a really quite sweet link between Venus and Jupiter. So if we can spend our time with Mercury in Pisces, making things at home, or playing the guitar, or writing some poetry, or really investing in our imagination, or embracing the healing arts, we're going to get a practical benefit from that, because Saturn will appreciate the soothing of its stability with the more emotional and sensitive vibration of Mercury, but it can still be expressed in a creative and potentially playful way with Venus and Jupiter's help. So that just gives you a little bit of a flavour of what we can expect. But what about those 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces? What is likely to be your experience? So Aries, as Mercury makes its way into the sign of Pisces, obviously the Sun and also Neptune are laying in wait. So this is very much Pisces season and very much 12th house season, which is to do with reflection. So I think for you, you could go through a period of profound thinking over the next few weeks. You may find yourself having some discussions with people that you really feel you can trust, and that could be of a more psychological nature. You may also find yourself thinking very carefully about those past involvements. This can be a time of healing, however. If you give yourself the permission to review, Mercury is very much about thinking, review some past events, you may be able to actually see them in a different light, particularly with Venus and Jupiter coincided with the start of Mercury's transition through the sign of Pisces in your sign, along with Chiron, giving you a lot of uplift in terms of your individuality. But I think it's inevitable, particularly with Saturn moving into Pisces on the 7th of March, that this can be a year when some strands of your life do come to a close, but other new glorious beginnings are coming. So I think that this is an intermediary part of the year for you, and you're really going to spark into life and into top form on the 20th of March when the Sun arrives in your sign with the spring equinox. Now Taurus, having this gathering of energy in the sign of Pisces, is potentially very sociable, but because of course the Sun is going to be aligning with Mercury, you could even have a quite brilliant idea which occurs on the 17th of March, which is to do with your future planning or something to do with a network with somebody else. But the Neptune influence is much more challenging and can distort your reality when it comes to your hopes and expectations. It's important to try to cut through the froth. So if you are meeting new people, setting those longer term plans, or just being really idealistic, absolutely vital that you do keep one foot on terra firma as you make your way through this transit. So Gemini, Mercury connecting with your 10th solar house, the most visible part of your situation, gives you a glorious window of opportunity over the next few weeks to get in touch with and have a fine impact on anyone notable. So if you are wanting to apply for jobs, do a presentation, or impress people in the know, this is a fine chance to do so. The only gotcha really is that you don't rush the process, and nor do you want it only on your terms, because with Mars squaring with both Mercury and Neptune over the next few weeks, it is very important that you represent yourself in a way which is actually going to be good for you. And you can do that by perhaps understanding that whoever you need to pitch to has their own agenda, and that may not match yours completely. So you just need to be aware of what's expected and accept that there could be a need to just compromise a little bit on your core aims. But if you get a lot of your needs met, then it can turn out extremely well for you. And this is not to suggest that you shouldn't be yourself. It's just if you're really keen to make progress in a more material way, or get that new job or that pay rise, you probably are going to have to play by the rules just a little bit. Now, Cancer, for you, you have a fabulous opportunity over the next few weeks to break out and travel. If that's not possible, you can certainly travel through your mind or through healing. All sorts of things can open up. Your imagination can be absolutely awesome in the next few weeks. Leo, for you, Mercury moving into House 8 gives you an opportunity to understand what people have been meaning recently. So not just what they've been saying, but the subtext, so what they are really meaning. And I think there can be some real revelations for you over the next few weeks. But when it comes to shared finance, you must be crystal clear about what you're trying to achieve, particularly when Mercury tangles with Neptune, because the potential for some dishonesty or distortion in terms of what someone tries to sell you or what they tell you is unfortunately quite strong. Virgo, for you, your ruler Mercury moving into your 7th house is really a portent of what's coming with Saturn moving into this location on the 7th of March. It's all about relationships. Now, relationships don't necessarily have to be on a personal basis, romantically. It could be just how we interact with people in a general sense. And I feel that you're going to go through quite a period over the next couple of years. Lots of information is going to come in. There's going to be a lot of experiences. And to be honest, with Saturn in the mix, probably a lot of lessons, because that's what Saturn is about. That's not to say that you're not a skillful relator at the present time, but you just may experience people who don't necessarily appreciate where you're coming from, and that could be a bit of a jolt. But if you're prepared to try to find that sweet point, representing your needs but also being conscious of other people's, then this actually can be a very productive few weeks for you. Now, Libra, for you, Mercury moving into your 6th house joins up with Neptune, which has been there since 2012. This is a chance to think carefully about your health and also becoming more informed, information about food, medicines and healing, because Pisces is very much about the more spiritual side of healing, but the 6th house, which is where Pisces is for you, is more about the physical domain. We put the information that Mercury gives you, the sensory energies of Neptune and the drive of the Sun. A lot of information is going to come out in the next few weeks, which can give you a lot of insights in how you can manage your everyday routines more efficiently, get better sleep, get better exercise, improve your nutrition, and essentially be more effective too. Which brings us to Scorpio. Now, for you, Mercury moving into your 5th house can be fun, more outgoing and bubbly. And of course, the link with the Sun can see you absolutely dazzle somebody with the strength of your ideas, your imagination, your humour, but also the compassion that comes with Mercury's link with Neptune could see you very good in terms of working with children, for example, if that's part of your job. Your ability to use your imagination could be brilliant if you're a natural storyteller, whether it's putting your young kids to bed at night and doing that, or in a more formal setting. If you're someone who teaches people or you have creative skills, you can really hit a real hot streak over the next few weeks. Sagittarius, for you, Mercury moves into your 4th house, which is more reflective. It's not the best location by house or sign. Of course, Neptune has been quite a tricky influence for you since 2012, but perhaps what you're thinking a lot of at the moment is all about your emotions, or where you live. Your sense of comfort and identity are all going to be important discussion points for you in the next few weeks. Capricorn, for you, Mercury moving into the 3rd house is going to see a speeding up. If you've been considering a new domestic appliance or even a new mode of transport, things can really start to rattle forwards now in an exciting way, particularly when Mercury forges that great sextile to Uranus. But also, this is an opportunity to improve your interaction with people immediately around you. Get involved more with a community project or a hub. Offer some services in your locality, or perhaps invest in technology in some way if it will assist you in terms of your career or even your own enterprise. Aquarius, for you, Mercury moving out of your sign and into Pisces is a chance to push back at the blurry energy of Neptune, which has at times been hard going for you since 2012. But having said that, the combination between Mercury and the Sun, which becomes exact on the 17th, could be brilliant for a deal. And because Venus and Jupiter are also sparkling in your 3rd house, if you're wanting to improve your finances, your natural airy communications are going to be your ace in the pack. Pisces, for you, Mercury moving into your sign is so welcome. It's going to help you to come more into the present. And of course, having your co-ruler Neptune already in your sign, along with the Sun, means that some of the energy which seems to have dominated over the last couple of years, which has been very inward and very withdrawn, is going to make way to come more into the present. It's just that Saturn, really late in Aquarius, is just holding back some of your hopes to dart forwards in a very quick way. So if you are starting any new plans or new ideas, it's important that they're very well researched. Otherwise, you could waste time on things that aren't necessarily going to be sustainable. But if you've got ongoing strands that are really important to you already, the chances are you can inject them with a lot more enthusiasm, freshness, and vitality over the next few weeks. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do comment and interact. But for now, good luck and goodbye.